Souls games are unforgiving. They truly test the skills and sanity of players, as they fight the same boss for hours just to gain a little more understanding, all for that one moment. And Elden Ring is no different. You play as the Tarnished with a grand ambition to one day become the king of it all. But as you get stronger, kill demigods, wear their armor, and get like a bajillion runes, you look around and you don't own an army, land, or even a castle. So if you're broke, who is the richest character in Elden Ring? But first, in Elden Ring, what does it mean to be the richest? Is it runes? That seems to be Elden Ring's money. So it's simple. All we need to do is look at who drops the most runes on death, and that is the Elden Beast. But that doesn't make sense. The Elden Beast is merely a guard dog. He has no gold, no kingdom, no land. Is that really what it means to be rich? The rich people in our world aren't rich because they have the most amount of cash. They're rich because of what they own. So that's the criteria. The richest characters in Elden Ring are the characters who own the most valuable land, military, and infrastructure. So that means characters like the Tarnished and merchants are all out because yes, they make a lot of runes, but they own nothing. Those who actually own things are Godrick, Radahn, Morgott, Rykard, Melania, Mohg, and Rennala. These are the characters who own castles and armies. But out of all of them, who is the richest? Unfortunately, someone has to be last. Fortunately though, that's Mohg. Mohg has his own cult and a private island, but that's the point. All of his wealth is underground. How can he be the richest if he holds no land in the lands between, the very place he's supposed to be the richest in? Rykard at least has territory above ground, but he decided to build on a volcano. Why? This just plummets the value of his land. Why would anyone want to own a volcano? Melania is different though. She controls the Haddock Tree and one of the strongest armies in the game, going toe to toe with Radahn. But she controls a small territory, and the stuff on it isn't really that valuable. Now let's talk about the real contenders. I went across these 4 areas to determine who's got the best assets. Godrick is the weakest demigod, so how could he possibly be one of the richest? Well, that's because of one thing, Limgrave. If I was to imagine the perfect place to build a powerful civilization, it would be a place with good weather, fertile fields, grass to feed my livestock, long beaches, direct access to the ocean, deep caves packed with natural resources, and dense forests with an abundance of wood. Limgrave has all of this. The ocean access alone makes Limgrave much more valuable than Rykard's volcano, Mohg's underground civilization, and Melania's small land. He also owns a freaking castle. How much does this go for nowadays? Holy. Rennala is the only non-demigod on this list. She wasn't born into power, she earned it through her own skills in magic, and that's what makes her a compelling character. Her land alone puts her near the top. Liurnia is the biggest region on the map. Granted, a lot of it is water, but she still holds important buildings, like Raya Lucaria, Elden Ring's Hogwarts, a school that studies glintstone, which in the lands between is basically a hardcore drug that gives you magical powers, and Rennala controls the entire supply chain, the mines that extract it, the academy that processes it, the graduates who are trained in it. She is Pablo Escobar, but instead of monopolizing the white stuff, she monopolized the blue stuff. Her military is also incredibly strong. The Carrion Knights held off the Elden Lord himself twice. When coming up with this idea, I thought Morgott stood no chance. Those of you unfamiliar with Elden Ring lore, Morgott was a child who was imprisoned due to medieval magical racism. But in Elden Ring, he controls the most important part of the map, both narratively and politically, the capital. Historically, capital cities is where money concentrates, the peak of civilization. This alone puts Morgott in contention. Radahn is an interesting one. Caelid is hell on earth, but Radahn's army is considered one of the most powerful. In terms of pure might, not many stand against him. I mean, we were talking about a guy who learned gravity magic, so he didn't crush his beloved horse. Caelid is maybe a bit of a wasteland, but it's still massive, and it has caves, castles, and even a beach. The reason why I put such importance on the military is because when you go back in history, the richest countries and empires in the world were always those with the biggest military. So that is why Radahn is a key contender. All of these characters have a legitimate case. All of their territories are massive. But wealth is based on how valuable what you own is. Can you extract value from what you own? And we consider that certain characters just can't do that. Like Radahn. Look, I love Radahn. If you search up the definition of aura, you will find Torrent. But if you look under that, you'll find Radahn. Radahn, of course, has one of the strongest militaries. But so do Morgott and Rennala. And their land is miles better than Caelid. Look, we can't blame him. He took a nuke to the face. But that's affected his pockets and assets. Caelid is a biohazard. You can't grow anything here. Radahn is not the richest in Elden Ring, but he's 4th. Next, Godrick the Grafted. Earlier I was glazing his land, and not for no reason. Limgrave is genuinely beautiful and has the most potential on this list by far, but where Radahn excels, Godrick fails miserably. He has the weakest army by far, and it really shows. You see, Godrick only claims to control Limgrave, but there are many factions. So Godrick can't be the richest purely from Limgrave, because he doesn't even fully control it. And then there were 2, Honestly, this shouldn't be close. Lendale is in ruins, and the capital is truly valuable because people live there. But in Elden Ring, no one lives in Lendale. Compare that to Araya Lucaria, which is still active. On top of that, her manor and academy are unscathed. Rennala really is in a league of her own when it comes to wealth. Her army, the Carrier Knights, are top notch. Her territory is the biggest. She controls the mining of glintstone and its distribution. It's incredibly impressive. She's the only non-demigod on this list, yet she's the richest. She put her family name on the map through her own skill alone. She went to war with the Elden Lord twice, and they were equally matched. So by every metric we have used, Rennala wins. But then we come back to that one word: control. Because here's what actually happened to Rennala. After her husband left, she became heartbroken, a shell of herself, and the students noticed. They rebelled, imprisoned her in her own school. Her manor now controlled by her daughter, Ranni. I mean, technically she owns all this stuff, it's all in her name, but she's just a prisoner. And that's the tragedy of Rennala. She was a prodigy, built everything with her own strength. But once she lost her husband, she also lost herself. And once she lost herself, she lost everything she had built. So that leaves Morgott, the one I dismissed at first, imprisoned in the sewers by his own mother. Turns out, he's the richest character in Elden Ring. Not by default, he actually deserves this. When we put him against the metrics we used in the video, he passes with flying colours. He controls Lendale, the most important place in the game, a city built with gold. He controls Altus Plateau, the second best land in the game. His army is elite, being able to repel Radahn's forces. Radahn, the man who held back the stars. Morgott was overlooked his whole life, purely because of the way he was born. That's what makes his character so tragic, but also admirable. He still became the king of Lendale, because he was loyal and defended it with his own strength. If only he wasn't born cursed, he would have made an excellent Elden Lord. The man who rose from the sewers is the richest man in Elden Ring.